There is arguably no story of timber exploitation as staggering as the rosewood trade. Rosewood is a generic name given to dark, rich, and durable timber sourced from trees across the world's tropical regions. And this trade is reported to be the most lucrative form of wildlife crime. In recent years, West Africa's rosewood trees, also known as koso, which are protected under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, have been a prime target. Fueled by the explosive demand for rosewood furniture predominantly in China, these trees have already been exhausted across Asia and South America. In sparsely forested West Africa, they are now on the brink of extinction.
Most government decision is informed by the agenda to make profits, to make more revenue. What we have removed from our forests in just about 6 years, we will still have removed those proportions of trees and spread it across perhaps 20 years, thus allowing undersized trees to grow to maturity, and then they can be harvested.
Between 2010 and 2014, according to CITES, China reported importing over 360,000 cubic meters of rosewood logs from the Gambia. That's equivalent to 360 million kilograms. Rosewood was also heavily exploited in Senegal and Guinea-Bissau during this period, as well as Côte d'Ivoire and Togo. As this timber became more and more depleted in these countries, criminals spread further across West Africa, with a dramatically increased presence in Nigerian forests in 2015. Taraba State, where most of Nigeria's rosewood has been sourced, banned all felling of trees the same year, but this hasn't stopped the rapid rate of deforestation in the state.
The explosion in harvest of this timber at an unsustainable rate and its export from Nigeria represent one of the cause of the devastation of Nigeria forests.
Mr. Raphael Edu is the Republic of Benin's former Environment Minister and the Africa Program Manager for the Environmental Investigation Agency, an international NGO that investigates and campaigns against wildlife crime. The EIA has spent years tracking the illegal trade of rosewood, and as criminal networks turned their attention to Nigeria's koso trees, so did the EIA.
EIA conducted 3 investigations in this country. And we noticed that the criminal are all company, all people which intervene at any step of supply chain. That means from the forest to the export. So the Chinese company, they came to Nigeria and they had connection with national dealers. The national dealer got connected to the local dealer at the local community, for example, in Taraba State. The local dealer, they found people and they cut the trees and then moved to Sagamu, and then everything led to Lagos for exportation.
Most of the koso that's been harvested in Nigeria has been transported through Shagamu in Ogun State. This has turned the town into a large rosewood trading hub.
What's happening in Shagamu is a function of where there is space. Because even to drop your logs there, you have to pay certain fees to those who are managing the log yard. So it's a function of space, and of course it's strategic to Lagos port.
Precious woods have been traded for a long time, but the scale of demand today is unparalleled. On the Chinese market, rosewood can reportedly sell for prices exceeding $17,000 per ton, far more costly than any other tropical hardwood, and a cash cow in the eyes of criminals.
The mechanism for determining the price is actually not beneficial to our local people. The exporters are actually the ones who are getting more of the profits. The local people are getting crumbs.
According to the EIA, between January 2014 and June 2017, an average of more than 40 20-foot shipping containers full of rosewood logs were exported every day from Nigeria to China. That's equivalent to approximately 2,800 trees, which is over 1 million trees a year. This level of exploitation triggered CITES to place a COSO trade suspension on Nigeria in 2018.
It's a serious situation for Nigeria. We have lost more than 5 million trees in our forest space. I had the privilege of meeting with the commissioner in one of the states where rosewood is actually being sourced. And she told me that, well, she has a kind of an inclination for the environment, but she has a target. And she just has to meet up with that target. Otherwise, the governor in charge of the state may decide to lay her off or swap her portfolio. All right, so I think the major driver of deforestation in Nigeria is the interest in the revenue that accrue from our forest produce and products.
COSO was listed on CITES Appendix 2 at the start of 2017, meaning that trade in the species must be controlled to avoid extinction. It is also protected under the second schedule of Nigeria's Endangered Species Act, which requires a license to harvest or trade in the species, as the rate of felling is highly unsustainable. According to CITES, in 2015, China alone imported $269 million worth of West African rosewood. This figure was even more shocking the year before, with China importing $496 million worth.
Even the Nigeria Customs Service, the export prohibition list has timber, rough timber and sawn timber as perhaps number 1 or number 2. But you will ask yourself, if an item is listed on the prohibition list, how do you allow that same item out of our borders in Nigeria?
The Nigeria Customs Service has one of the largest roles to play in ending the illegal trade of precious woods and other wildlife products, as it's their job to monitor what comes in and out of the country.
We know from intelligence that some of these people buy some small handsets and they distribute them to some border community dwellers who will monitor the movement of our anti-smuggling patrol teams and provide information to these criminals, telling them where we are heading to and where they shouldn't follow, how they should move left or move right, essentially sabotaging all our efforts to arrest this element. So those who just limit their finger pointing to customs probably are doing this out of sheer ignorance of the realities of the challenges we face daily along the borderlines.
I can't read his thoughts, but I'm sure perhaps he has his own point. But the fact remains that more than 90% of those logs, rosewood, left through our ports. And those ports, of course, are the Lagos port and another one in Port Harcourt. Those ports are manned by the Nigerian Customs Service. But if he's alleging that criminals are sabotaging their effort, then it must have been enemies within the system.
All these could not happen if the civil servant who would protect or who would enforce the regulation of the forest, the regulation or the enforcement of the international convention, If they did their work, all this would not happen.
Unfortunately, most of Nigeria's rosewood has been depleted, and criminal networks have now turned their focus to neighboring Cameroon. Evidence strongly suggests that this has been a plan all along, as exposed by the EIA in undercover conversations with culprits. With African rosewood on the brink of extinction, CITES has taken the step to strengthen regulations once more. In March 2022, parties signatory to the convention agreed on unprecedented measures to address the constant violations across West Africa. The new regulations put pressure on West African states to demonstrate that the international trade of rosewood complies with CITES regulations, and if not, parties face a formal trade suspension. For Nigeria, which already falls into this category, demonstrating sincere efforts to protect this tropical hardwood is key, as the loss of revenue to the illegal trade of precious woods continues to place a deep dent in the economy. It is clear that without protection, Koso trees are fast on their way to becoming a memory of the past. But with steady political will and strengthened relations between countries involved, there may be a window of opportunity to reverse this regrettable trend. Laila Johnson-Salami, Arise News.